And it's a Friday morning. I hope you all are doing well. I've done my 90 minutes of Kundalini yoga. I got all ready for a podcast interview, and then they were a no show. So I am going live with you instead because I got things to say today. And today I'm going to talk about feminine masculine leadership. Many people are asking me to talk about feminine masculine leadership these days, which is really exciting and wonderful that we are collectively getting ready for this new conscious conversation. And so I am available to talk to your organization or your leadership teams about what this looks like, because ultimately I really think that we can do a lot, have a lot of progress in the gender equity space if we talk about this conversation differently. And so I like to talk about the archetypes because the archetypes are actually neutral. The archetypes are not gendered. Masculine does not equal man, and feminine does not equal woman. And so we can actually talk about a lot of really fascinating, really rich information about, human behavior, leadership styles in this neutral space of the archetypes. And then any single one of us, male, female, non-binary, transgender, like whatever, we all have the archetypes within us, these two archetypes of feminine and masculine, and then we can pull on these characteristics, these behaviors, energies, really, like the ways of being, and we can pull on that and bring them forward in our work and our leadership and our entrepreneurship for way more effectiveness. So I've been walking this path for many years now, and was a school principal to begin. So a lot of organizational structure, a lot of, I had climbed the ladders, a lot of, success in that area. And then I left that to become an entrepreneur while I was on this reclamation path of what is feminine, what is masculine. And I've discovered a lot. And so I am here to share. And what I'd like to do today is probably I'm going to try to keep this to about 10 minutes of information. And you're welcome to grab a pen. I think that helps us to conceptualize, to take some notes. And what I'd like you to do, if you want to, is to draw a little grid, because I'm, teacher by heart. So let's talk about conscious and unconscious masculine and feminine. And this is just one way that we can break this down. So when we think about, I like to start here, especially in women's circles. When we think about masculine leadership, what are the things that come to mind? If I say masculine leadership, a lot of people are first going to go to things like domination, or, like bossiness, pushiness, linear thinking. Okay. And so we got some trauma around what I would call unconscious masculine leadership. It's the way we've all been taught. It is the way we've all been taught. So when I was, in training to be a school principal, much of the traditional leadership training was have it all together, have all the answers, be in charge, know how to make decisions, be an island. And it was really a lot of pressure. And so I think that there's just a lot of general pressure in leadership to have it all together. That's actually a unconscious masculine archetype. Did you know that? Did you know that? Because there's a conscious masculine archetype. So I'll slow down a minute. So in that unconscious masculine quadrant in your notes that you're taking, just, think about the behaviors that you associate with masculine that actually don't feel good to you in leadership. And I challenge you to think about what doesn't feel good within yourself. So it doesn't feel good within me as a female entrepreneur when I run myself into the ground. So that would be an unconscious masculine archetype of like pushing. Okay. So what else doesn't feel good? Um, Yeah, when I push, when I run myself into the ground, when I like run over my intuition, like if I have an intuition about what I should be doing that day, but instead I go to my to-do list and just take action, 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 action to like get it out, I would say that's an unconscious masculine because I didn't consider the wisdom of the intuition. Okay. So let's now move into conscious masculine leadership. And I know I'm using some like buzzwords, right? Because people want to talk about feminine leadership, masculine leadership. It's really interesting because in all people, I don't care what your gender is, we need both of these. We need both of these. It's like I said in my TEDx, when you suppress one, the other one goes into the unconscious or the unhealthy orientation. It's just the way energy works. You cannot have one without the other. And if you try to have masculine leadership without feminine leadership, then you're going to get the tyrant, the pushiness, the focus on the hierarchies, just a lot of pressure. And this is where we do have a lot of male gendered people feeling a lot of pressure to have it together. And then, like I also said in my TEDx, that demographic, like white male middle class, people that we think are the most privileged, actually have the highest suicide rates. So that pressure to have it all together is not serving anyone. And then as women, when we climb the career ladders, we take on the cultural perception of what leadership is. And in doing so, we burn ourselves out. We burn ourselves out. So women have been mimicking unconscious masculine leadership. Have you ever thought of this? It's fascinating. So we need the masculine though. So let's just talk about archetypes. We need the masculine. So healthy masculine leadership knows structure in business and organizational health. It knows the numbers and the data, okay, so that we can make informed decisions. It's very structural and it consults it like has the wisdom and the knowing, like King Arthur and the Round Table, right? It has the wisdom to know I need a round table and I need to consult before I make decisions. Okay. It's not the decision making that is bad or wrong in masculine leadership. We need decision making, we need clear consciousness. The masculine, as an energetic, first and foremost, is consciousness. Okay. And so it's very exciting when you get into realizing like what it actually is. So it is like a, rather than push and drive, it's like an electrification. And even I'll use the word penetration. Okay. So the masculine is a penetrating essence, which is really beautiful because that gets things done. It gets things done. But when it considers the whole, it's not pushing anyone over in its way. It's not, patriarchal. Let's use that word. We're not afraid of that word, are we? No. All right. I'm going to stay on time here. I'm trying to stay on time. So let's talk about feminine leadership. This is a big buzzword. And like I said before, neither one of these alone can lead. But feminine leadership, in some ways, is actually a little bit of like an oxymoron or something because, the masculine is really the essence of leadership. We just want the masculine to be like really healthy. Now, women, like we want to bring plenty of feminine wisdom into leadership and into our leadership styles. So what you see in innovation right now in leadership, things like collaboration, team building, space and time for like teams to go deep into art or creativity, setting aside creative time. Those are feminine archetypes. Those are feminine energies. Okay, this is what's happening. So as the feminine is like coming back on the planet, it's also coming back into business and leadership, and we can bring it in consciously. So we have the conscious feminine is communal, familial, like, community centered, inclusive, like this, all of this stuff about inclusivity, that's the feminine. But one thing, that feminism itself, I think is really skewed because feminism was largely about like fighting for rights. I don't really go into that. I want us to all be able to express like our own innate feminine, our own innate masculine. And then, we have a lot of peace when we do that. So the whole paradigm of like fighting for power, I could talk a lot about that, but that's not helpful. Okay. And I think it further exhausts women, and we don't want to, achieve unconscious masculine leadership. Like, I don't want to fight for the right to be equal to that. Right. I said that in my TEDx. Like, I don't want that. I want something different. So the feminine, in truth, I know we have a lot to clean up around this because there's a lot of patriarchal trauma, but the feminine, in truth, is really very, very, very heart-centered, very heart-centered. And so the inclusivity and the, collaboration can't be done as a like a show. It can't be in falsehood or falsity. It really does need to be very genuine. And so I think that true feminine leadership, the person has done a lot of work to get back to the heart and being heart-centered, and then like leading with love. And I think that is also true for masculine leadership. I'm not saying the masculine leadership is heartless, but the feminine and the heart really go hand in hand for me. So then what is unconscious feminine leadership? Well, the shadow side of feminine leadership, like in the feminine, is going to be that she can't lead, right? Because the feminine itself would be like very oceanic, very emotional, very watery. And so, the shadow side of feminine leadership, two things. One, it's either not leading because it can't. It's like too swampy, too emotional. And this is what we don't want in business places. And I think that this is a fear. So I'm stating this. I think that this is a fear and a perception that if we embrace feminine and feminine leadership, we're going to get too weak or too emotional, or we're just going to have to process our emotions all day long. Not true. Okay. Not true. Schedule a consultation with me if you want to talk more about that and how to bring it in a wise and conscious way. So back to what I was saying, that's one shadow side of this like feminine leadership in an unconscious orientation. But the other thing that we're going to find in like women leaders or women in general in their life leadership, when the feminine leadership isn't in the heart and isn't in that like beautiful wise woman wisdom, then she's going to go spiteful or manipulative in order to get power. So in both cases, in the unconscious leadership of masculine and feminine, there's an attempt at power. Do you see that? So the masculine attempt at power, in the patriarchy, in the leadership is like, where do I get my power? Where do I get my money? How do I conquer? How do I like obtain? Okay. And then the feminine leadership in shadow, in unconsciousness, is going to maybe mimic that masculine leadership in the push and the hustle. And then when that doesn't work, it would begin to manipulate and maybe emotionally manipulate for power. So unfortunately, I think we see a lot of this shadow in some of the stuff that's going on in HR and between genders, because the like unjust nature of patriarchal power plays is coming up, and it's coming up in women. And I think a lot of trauma is honestly surfacing in women and in women in the workplace, and that's coming into the workplace and like getting really skewed as these kind of emotional power plays in some situations. And then we have like more talk about like sexual harassment and gender issues in the workplace. And I don't think that they all have to be that category of conversation. I think we can have other conversations that help us to see more of what's going on here and choose our leadership profiles, our leadership behaviors, how we connect with one another, and what our organizational like visions and structures and team modalities and ways of connecting at work. When we bring in this feminine masculine archetype information and language, we can like the human mind in our culture is going to go to, we have a gender issue here. Like we're doing that, and we're doing that more and more and more, and I want to help with that. Okay, I want to help with that because I don't think we always have to have a gender issue or call it a gender issue. I think that we can talk about gender equity through this, like I said in the beginning, this neutral space of actually using the conceptualization of feminine and masculine archetypes. So if that sounds like something that you would like to do for your organization, for your leadership team, I think it's a good idea to start in the leadership team, then reach out to me at sarahpoet.com and schedule a consultation to talk about what you envision for your company. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to work on balancing, I don't really love the word balancing, but integrating your personal feminine and masculine leadership styles for greater effectiveness, bringing in that conscious money and masculine and structure with that conscious feminine and flow and intuition, and, marrying those two in a really beautiful way, then you can reach out to me and schedule a consultation and we can do that. And so I'm so excited to do this video this morning. I'm kind of glad the podcast guy didn't show up because I really needed to talk about feminine and masculine leadership, again, because I'm getting a lot of questions about that. And so I hope this helped. I hope this helped you. And this video will be on my YouTube channel and LinkedIn and Facebook, thanks to Restream. This amazing. I only have to say it once and it goes everywhere. So that's wonderful. I hope to connect with you soon if you liked this video and this information. And I hope everyone has a great Friday. Okay, bye.